Muscarelle serves two main purposes here on campus. First of all, we're focused in on the academic enterprise of the university. But at the same time, the museum is a really important nexus. It's a place where the university meets the community. And so we're able to offer programs that draw the community in.
The museum is a very important institution for any societal structure in that it is a depository of different ideas, different belief systems. It is a depository of ways in which people have taken the world around us and refashioned it and have made something new with it.
I think the museum is important because it provides a space for engagement of people. And I think at William and Mary, the museum as a university museum is even more important for our students and faculty, as well as our citizens in the town, to come together to really tackle some serious thinking about expressive culture, also about ideas, history, and very contemporary issues of politics and social justice.
The museum has a great history. The university is one of the first academic institutions to collect art in America.
The collection started in 1732, believe it or not. This was a gift from the 3rd Earl of Burlington, and it was a portrait of the physicist Sir Robert Boyle.
And the idea came about in the 1970s that maybe it was time to bring all that art together into one setting. A professor here, Miles Chappell, and President Tom Graves put together plans and opened the first phase of the museum in 1983.
And since then, the collection now totals at around 7,000 works. These span a wide diversity of materials, cultures, and time periods.
Many of those are to add works by underrepresented artists, including women, Native American, and Black artists.
The current museum is a very intimate facility. It was built very economically, but we weren't able to get all of the facility needs incorporated into the original building.
We like our current building, but of course we need to expand the galleries and storage areas.
Many students come to us asking us to create a space for them to mount exhibitions, and unfortunately with our limited gallery space, we just can't make that happen.
And so we've been thinking over the course of the past 20 years about how we might expand the museum to better meet the needs of the operations that we really want to be doing. And so our building, which is about 17,000 square feet, is soon to be joined by a 42,000 square foot addition. So we'll be just under 60,000 square feet when we reopen in August of 2024. In our new home, a lot of great things are going to happen. We'll be tripling the amount of gallery space we have.
In our new space, we look forward to bringing out more of the permanent collection and having that hung for longer periods of time.
Which will allow us to present a lot more art, have multiple exhibitions at the same time.
There is a new foyer that's going to run from front to back, wide open, solar panels on top, to really add light to it.
And having a front-facing and campus-facing entrance will be much more inviting.
It's like giant arms opening up to welcome people from the community as they drive by and come in from the parking lot.
We have a beautiful color wall that faces Jamestown Road. It lights up every night, and we're going to maintain that.
By increasing storage space, we will have more access to the collections and have safer working areas so that we are able to better preserve the objects.
Especially our works on paper storage will be greatly expanded, which will bring us kind of into the 21st century in terms of best practices in museum storage.
We'll be very importantly adding an education wing that will include 2 seminar rooms and a large open study area that will feel to students in the community a bit like a library.
More than just a place where I come into a gallery and I look, but these active spaces that we're hoping to have in the museum, I think are really exciting.
And then we'll have a large event hall that will allow us to a little bit more seamlessly present lectures.
They have taken advantage of the sloping land on this side of the building to put in a basement level with all these windows. And what's really nice about it, currently there's one window in the office and the director doesn't even have a window in his office. So you can see all of them will be able to have an office so they can see what's happening outside too.
We're going to have meeting rooms in that office suite, and we're going to have intern workstations spread throughout that suite that'll give the team the opportunity to come together and collaborate and cooperate and help the museum be the best that it can be.
In the new space, we really look forward to collaborating more with different student groups as well as faculty.
Well, most recently, I taught a class called the Curatorial Project, in which I led a group of 14 students in mounting, researching, selecting, and hanging an exhibition from the museum's collections. The museum's study areas. Instead of one small one, there will be 3, which will make it far easier for my ever larger classes to spend time examining at close quarters holdings from the museum's own collection.
Right now, I'm working in the community engagement department. So a lot of my job is traveling and doing workshops with, a variety of different community members and age groups. So right now, we don't have a space where we can hold these events. It's really the main gallery when you enter, and that space can be very loud and noisy. We have to be careful about mess depending on what we're doing. The expansion for my department, at least, will include like a very specific workshop area where we can really make some mess.
I think that the current Muscarelle space is an interesting one. I actually like that odd diagonal, but it does make it sometimes hard to do projects in there. And so they'll have a lot more flexibility in terms of the kinds of shows they can offer. So they can have a show coming down in one gallery while another one is opening in the next gallery. And they can reconfigure it in quite a number of ways that I think is really exciting and dynamic.
Well, I think the museum's collections, which are constantly expanding, open up possibilities for departments across the university to engage in the Muscarelle's mission.
So like study spaces, the courtyard, all of those really amount to making the museum less of a museum and more of a gathering space. Things being in a museum or gallery space kind of excludes them. It makes them feel as though you can't really reach and approach them. It makes it feel like art is something that's extremely sacred, which it is in its own way, but like it's extremely sacred. It makes it feel as though the common man can't approach it, which isn't true. So I think the addition of those spaces, it makes it feel like the museum is now a part of the campus rather than just being on campus.
I'm a director of engagement and distinguished artist in residence, where I basically take that which we do inside the museum and that which we see on the walls, and I basically create experiential opportunities to engage with community. And so all through it all, I'm using art as that central or that common denominator. But as a visual artist, I'm able to really share with people, not just from an outsider's perspective, but from an insider's perspective, that I truly understand what it means to make a drawing or a print or a sculpture or a painting. And that, I think, is a very important and critical space that I operate in.
So I didn't dream of becoming an art major. I came in computer science and math, actually, like very typical William and Mary student. I felt this fear that I couldn't take on my passion of art, that I would never be able to have a career in the arts. And I won a mural contest on campus, actually, and Steve Prince was one of my mentors for it. And at the end, when the mural was complete at Earl Gregg Swim Library, he offered me a job. The mural solidified it for me. That told me this is what I want to do. I don't care how I need to do it or what I need to do to make ends meet. I need to be making art. And Steve was one of those people that just really uplifted me, and the Muscarelle for me has been a place of creative freedom, a comfort zone, a safe space where I can ask questions and be involved in the process with no judgment.
But I ultimately think that the biggest challenge of not only this museum, but also this institution, is to devise a really rich plan in terms of making sure that this space bespeaks more critically of the diverse voices that occupy this space. So how can we as a museum create a space that is more inclusive, that is more reflective of the multiple bodies that come to this space? I think that is a critical space for me. As I think about as a director of engagement, because the engagement is not just about having engagement of what looks like me or who looks like me. The engagement is about connecting with people across the spectrum.
I think we also have to remind ourselves that in this transition that art is still alive on this campus. I know so many amazing, talented artists, and we find them in Andrews, we find them in Matoka, we find them toiling away in their dorms late at night. We need to have a greater emphasis on art within this time frame. And I'm not sure how that's going to be accomplished. I'd love to do pop-ups, have more art readily available wherever we find ourselves around campus so that we can see what student bodies, our student body here, can accomplish.
Again, I mean, I think about this period in which we're going to be closed. And so during that time, we're not going to go dormant. In particular, with my position as Director of Engagement, I'm going to continue to do the things that I'm already doing in the community. You know, creating innovative projects and programming. Like, for example, I've created this project called the Communal Quilt Project. And so whereas I'm going throughout the community and getting people to make patchwork quilts, working with very simple materials, but having them making these different artworks where they are then at the very end of that cycle, they actually share their stories. And so how important is that when you're getting people to, in this experiential making of artwork, but then get them engaged in the opportunity to tell stories, it really begins to break down those barriers that may exist between us and ways in which we can see how close we really are as human beings. And then I think about the new space where we're going to have a bigger footprint. And that means that I get to work with more artists in the community, bringing them into this space where they're able to engage with our students, but also to draw people from a global community to come into this space.
The Muscarelle has been doing a lot, but with little space. I think this is just going to allow them to sort of take a deep breath and, you know, expand.
Our expanded facility is going to be transformational here at William & Mary. So thank you very much for the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what we're going to be doing here at the museum and what the museum's going to be looking like when we reopen, and we look forward to welcoming all of you here in that fall semester 2024.